Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for August 13, 2014, around 8:23 p.m. It was a wet day in Billerica, Massachusetts. Heavy rain, but the rain's over now, but the grass is wet. Some branches fell down. I had to pick some up in my yard today. A little bit of tidbit news to report: the Boston Celtics start their upcoming 2014-2015 NBA season. October 29th is their first game at the TD Garden against the Brooklyn Nets. The Celtics only play on ESPN once this year. That will be January 14th against the Atlanta Hawks at 8 p.m. They have 3 games on NBA TV, but no games on TNT and ABC. I thought they would get at least maybe one game on TNT because Rondo's on the team, but they don't have any stars besides Rondo, and Rondo could be gone by the trading deadline. And that's about it for the news. My third and final video blog subject is about a classic television game show produced by Mark Goodson and Bill Todman Productions called Now You See It. Now You See It ran on CBS television from April 1st, 1974 through June 13th, 1975, hosted by Jack Narz, and it was announced by Johnny Olson. The theme song was Chump Change. It was made by Quincy Jones and Bill Cosby, and the tagline for this show was, "Every answer to every question is now before your eyes," and now you see it. Now you see it. And here's a host of the show. Now you see him, Jack Narz. It was a great game show based on the game word search, and it was, the format had 2 different formats. The first format was a champion, and they would have like 4 new players. They were the challengers, and the challengers were divided into 2 teams, and they played an elimination round where there was an inside player and an outside player, and Jack the host would have the big board and do now you see it, now you don't, and all the answers were up on the screen. The object, they would have to try to find them. Jack would do a general knowledge question, and the inside player would look up the word and hit. If they could find it, they would have to get the position and the line, and their partner, the outside player, would be turn around, and they would have to guess it. Say if it was on position 4, line 1, and if they got it right, they would get 5 points. They would continue to do that until a bell rang. That would mean halfway through the game, so the partners would change places, and then whoever got the most points at the end of that round would win that round, and the other team would be eliminated. And around around the 101 episode, the players could write down, pick a answer, and if they got the answer, they would get 10 bonus points added to their score. And then they would play a qualifying round, which was a guessing, Jack would read a question, and then he would do the word letter by letter, but he couldn't give the last letter because that would have revealed the name and the question. And if they got the answer right, they would get points. 4 points won the qualifying round, and then they would get a prize package, and then they would face a champion in the final game. And then it was the same. They followed the same format like the elimination game, which Jack would say, "Now you see it, now you don't," and he would answer questions. They would guess to it. They would have to get the line and the position, and if they got the points, and the most points won the game. And then the player would go on, the champion would go on to the solo round, which they would have a solo board, and they would have to do like questions. If you find any question, you would have to like circle it out so Jack could confirm it. They would get 10. They would have to answer 10 questions in 60 seconds or less to get a jackpot that would start $5,000. And if they didn't get, and they hit the jackpot, they would get $5,000. If not, then they would get $100 for each question they got right, and the jackpot grew like $1,000 each show if it wasn't guessed at all until somebody hit it. Once they hit it, they would retire as champion, and if that happened, like the runner-up for the game would come back as a like the de facto champion. Around the halfway through the run, around Christmas week 1974, the format of Now You See It changed. The elimination round was dropped, and then they had the two contestants to qualifying round, which they would do the same thing. Jack would read like a question, and he would get the answer letter by letter, but he couldn't reveal the last one. And this one, they would have to guess 5 words would win the game, and then they would play the finals game, which was the championship round with the defending champion, and this was a score format that 100 points won the game. But if the first player to reach 50 points, the point value would double until somebody hit 100 points or more in the game, and they would go on to the solo round. And this format meant that games could be straddled. That means if a game was straddled in the middle of a round, they would end the show, but they would continue on the next show. And they did that because they just wanted to get more games in. And then the bonus round remained the same, which, the like solo round, 10 questions in 60 seconds or less, and they would win the growing jackpot. And if not, they would still get $100 per question. And Now You See It ran into June 13th, 1975, which was like a 14.5-month run. It was a pretty decent run for a game show back in the day, and they actually had a revival of Now You See back in 1989 from April 3rd, 1989 through July 14th, 1989, hosted by Chuck Henry. He was a Los Angeles newsman, but that was a forgettable. Now You See It also ran on CBS as well, but I heard something that Chuck Henry never wanted that his Now You See It show to be reran because he thought he was embarrassed to host a game show. But I don't think he was embarrassed if he got this. But the reruns of Jack Narz Now You See It was seen on Game Show Network for many years. Like when they first started in 1994, it was shown on and off until like 2009. And I saw it many times. I thought it was a pretty great show. It was mainly like a Q&A game show, which, Mark Goodson and Bill Todman weren't very big on Q&A game shows because their forte was celebrity panel game shows. But I thought this had like a decent one, and it was interesting. Jack Narz was a good host. Jack Narz was a game show host from the 1950s, which he was involved with a scandal called Dot 2, which was a popular game show, but it only lasted maybe 7-8 months until somebody said, look, it was fixed. But Jack Narz never knew it was fixed, and that saved his career. And then he hosted game shows in the 60s and 70s. Jack Narz was the older brother of game show legend Tom Kennedy. And, Jack Narz passed away in 2008. But this is really a underrated game show. It should have had a longer run on CBS, but it got killed in the ratings when Wheel of Fortune debuted in January 6, 1975, and it ended up face to face with Now You See It, and Now You See It ratings went down the tubes and got canceled. But I thought Now you see it was a decent game show. I'm very surprised that GSN has never considered like having a revival of Now You See It, because that Now You See It's like a type of game show that GSN could revive because it fits in GSN's model. It's you could, because the top prize is only $5,000, but they'll probably up it to $10,000 or $20,000, and that's within GSM's budget. And it's a game show that probably would have. I think it's one of those game shows where if it was better, if it had like a better, it faced no competition on the other networks, it'd probably be one of the most popular game shows of the 70s. But it was an underrated game show in my opinion, and Jack Narz was a great game show host, and he's underrated in my opinion. Well, that's about it for now. This is my third and final video blog of the night. I'll be back tomorrow for at least 3 to 6 more video blogs. My first subject tomorrow is the 10 greatest players in Los Angeles Kings history, and then Friday it's the Anaheim Ducks, Saturday Calgary Flames, so Sunday is the Carolina Hurricanes / Hartford Whalers. I think Monday I might do the top 10 greatest players in North Stars and Stars history, and Tuesday Tampa Bay Lightning. Those are the teams that won at least one Stanley Cup. I'm getting through those teams first, and then the teams that haven't won a Stanley Cup. Might be hard for the other teams like the Nashville Predators and Florida Panthers, because I have to come up with the 10 greatest players of all time, and I'm getting more and more good feedback on these video blogs. And if there's a subject you want me to talk about on here, PM me and I'll consider it. And shout outs, I will give you if you PM me a shout out, I'll give it to you. This is Rich signing off for the night. See you tomorrow, Facebook friends.